You know, emergencies can happen anywhere. It's really important for us all to be prepared. That's why Your Day with Anna Koyman has come to the Red Cross, and we have Training Services Taylor Stultz with us. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Thanks for joining us on Your Day. And why is CPR so important?
You know, CPR is one of those things where cardiac arrest can happen anywhere, anytime. It can happen at work, it can happen in your community, even to your own friends and family or coworkers. So it's really important to have those skills and develop those skills so that you can use it when those emergencies happen, because you just never know.
Yeah, and how do we know that we need to do CPR?
Yeah, so CPR is something for when cardiac arrest happens. You'll notice somebody doesn't have any obvious signs of life like breathing, they won't have any heartbeat, or they'll be gasping for breath. It'll be very irregular. So that will be some telltale signs and symptoms of when you need to give somebody CPR.
Okay, so we would not have seen signs of life in a lot of situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why don't we get down with our mannequins and you can demonstrate. So initially we want to check for signs of life, yeah?
Right, so you want to make sure first and foremost that your person is on a firm flat surface. So if they're on something like a bed, you want to do your best to lower them down and get them somewhere where there's a flat surface, a firm surface underneath. Then you would check for some obvious signs of life using our shout, tap, shout that we teach, which is essentially tapping the person on the shoulder.
Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right?
Sir, can you hear me? Anything along those lines. If they're not responding, you can also tilt your head and your ear towards their face. Look at their chest to see if it's rising and falling, and see if you hear or feel any breath coming from the face.
So we also look, listen, and feel, right? Okay, so this person is not showing signs of life. What do we do next?
So call 911, tell somebody to call 911 or put them on speakerphone, and then you start with compressions.
Okay, so if there's somebody in the room, you go call 911, I'm gonna start CPR.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So your first point is body positioning. So you want your hand in the center of the chest, top hand is interlacing your fingers, and you want these up off the chest. Then you're gonna go at least 2 inches in depth for an adult, and give 100 to 120 compressions per minute. So I'm gonna count out loud and we'll get together.
Okay.
So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we would continue this all the way to 30 compressions and then deliver 2 breaths.
So I've been told one of the ways to make sure you're on about the right tempo is staying alive, staying alive. It's like kind of a crazy morbid thing to say and sing and kind of strange.
I've heard.
But that's a way for us to know that we're doing 100 compressions every 60 seconds.
Yeah, so having that rhythm is a really good thing to have. You just want to be careful you're not going to lose pace and do more than the 30 compressions or less than the 30 compressions.
Okay.
So as long as you can do that in a way that's effective, again, absolutely.
And then what about the rescue breathing?
So the rescue breaths, you're going to open the airway by pinching the nose and tilting the head back, using these fingers to support your chin, so head tilt, chin lift. And then you cover your mouth around the person's entire mouth and give a breath that lasts about 1 second and makes the chest begin to rise. So just go, take a break, give a
And
second
we don't have
breath.
masks, so we're not doing it exactly. Post-COVID, things have changed, I guess.
Yeah,
But then we also watch for the chest to lift.
Right, you want the chest to begin to rise ideally, and then let it fall in between giving that second breath, but you don't want to give more than those 2 breaths.
Okay, and how do we know when to stop?
So if the person shows an obvious sign of life like breathing, if an AED becomes available, you want to get that in place immediately. If EMS arrive and they take over care, if you are just too exhausted and you're by yourself, you can stop. Any of these can be reasons that you might stop giving CPR, or if somebody like you are trained and you can take over, we can rotate.
Yeah, so say we're somewhere in an office building, everybody has been trained, someone has collapsed, you're doing rescue breathing. Could you demonstrate with me how if I'm starting, then you can hop in so that, you know, it's quite exhausting if you're doing it properly, isn't
Absolutely.
Because you have to go pretty deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I was the one doing compressions, let's say I'm starting to get tired, I'm gonna need help. So I give 2 rescue breaths, 1, 2, and I go switch, and 1 and 2 and 3, and then on the next time I go down for breaths, you are getting in position to begin your cycles on the other side.
On the other side. Okay,
Correct.
Makes sense. And having an AED is a luxury that a lot of people don't have, but they are becoming more and more common. Is there any way that we would know if an office building or a gas station, shopping mall would have them and where they would be located?
So it's hard to know exactly where they may be, but oftentimes, especially somewhere like the city with larger office buildings, or if you have a larger gas station, because they can have gas spills or things like that, things need to be on hand now, just due to regulation. So doing your best to go to a larger facility might be in your better interest, rather than trying somewhere small.
Okay, so that's how we do CPR for an adult. How about for a child?
Yeah, so the only thing that changes from an adult to a child, which is between the age of 1 and 8 years old, or about 55 pounds, is your depth goes from at least 2 inches to about 2 inches, and instead of tilting the head past neutral, you're going slightly past neutral.
Okay, and what about for babies, 1 year and younger?
Yeah, so infants are a little bit
as well?
different. So here's an infant for you.
Thank you.
So for an infant, there are several techniques that you can use for an infant. The best one to reduce your fatigue would be the encircling thumbs technique. So you're going to rest 2 thumbs together in the center of the baby's chest, just below the nipple line, and you're going to push down at the same rate. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 at 1.5 inches in depth.
Okay, so a little bit less. It was 2 inches for adults.
At least 2 inches, about 2 inches for child, and 1.5 for infant.
Okay, very good. And what about the rescue breathing? Would we do it over their nose as well?
Correct. So for this one, instead of pinching the baby's nose, you're just going to tilt it to neutral and then put your mouth around the baby's nose and mouth.
Around both. Okay, thank you so much. And how do we know when to stop with an infant? When, I know if emergency services gets there, that's great. If they start breathing, that's great. How do we know that they're breathing? How do we know that they're okay? Just look, listen, and feel? Or...
Yeah, so when you're going down to give your breaths is definitely a good time to see if you can see the chest rise on its own, or see if you feel any breath. More often than not, an infant's probably going to start crying if they are, or you'll start to notice some sort of movement within them.
And I imagine if they do start to move, they're going to be out of it and groggy and all of that, whether you're an adult or whether you're a baby.
Absolutely.
So how do you move them to a recovery position?
Yeah, so recovery position, for example, on an adult, child, and infant is recommended to lift the arm that's closest to you up towards their head.
Okay.
And then you are going to roll them towards you, where an infant you want to make sure you're supporting the head and neck. And then this head naturally will lay along the arm that's over here.
Okay.
And then you would bend the knees by pulling them towards you on a child or on a child or adult. You would bend both knees towards you, and that would stabilize them in that position.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you so much. Fingers crossed. None of us ever have to deal with that, but emergencies, as we say, they can happen anywhere, anytime. So if you found this video helpful, please like, comment, save, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you find out when we release our next video. Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
It's been
it.
a pleasure.